All right, welcome back, everyone. Woo! So I found all my samples here, my high res stuff. Sorry about that, as per the last video. So you'll want to find, your high res stuff. Yay! So I found one here. Here's my JPEG for that poster that I had saved, and probably should have been prepared for that. So I do apologize for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this file and utilize that for my final, of course, my print submission, because we wouldn't want to use low res files for our overall, right? So anyway, that being said, I'm going to just throw this in here under my OpenJam, right? And you'll find that this is right here now, and I can just go ahead. And if you missed the last video, all I did there was I went in, few things I want to make sure of for color photographs. If you're doing, say, photos, right? If you took pictures, or you want to do one with photos, with your camera, etc., we want to always make sure that we've changed our colorway to CMYK color. It's going to ask you this. Swap coded is great. Okay, and then from there, it's up to you. You may find that you're going to, even with color stuff, you may want to do a contrast in your right here. You'll notice I might do a slight, see this, how I'm doing what a big difference here, eh? See that? So I might just go into my legacy, do a slight, see that how it really makes it punch, because I find a lot of details got lost when I went to convert it to CMYK. That's much better. And then I can go in, image size as mentioned. Look at this, I was at 250, perfect. That looks great. And then from here I can do, again, make it 300. Now if I did a 300 size down, you'll notice it goes from 9 to 7, which is perfect. I'm going to go here. Now it's a CMYK, right? Remember, save as per the last video, we did this quite a bit. Make sure we convert that to TIFF. And now what we can do is just call this poster to place, right? And then, of course, you'll notice I have another one to place, so just don't get confused. Toss out any ones that you don't need. All right, this is the OpenJam to use, right? Use this one. Oh my goodness, that's awful. Don't do that. I'm sure you have a better file, right? Just something to call it out. OpenJam, use this one. Perfect. I'm going to save as a TIFF. We're going to good there, and now that's a beauty thing. Now, okay, we're good to go. So we did that last video. So again, this is where I might go in. This is the one that I want. I'm going to get rid of the ones that I don't need. This is garbage. I'm going to get rid of it. You'll notice how large, though, these files get. When you make a TIFF, right, at 300 DPI, check it out. 24 megs just for this one printable piece. But what I'm getting at is don't be alarmed, because they will be large. Once you go into the CMYK spectrum for photos, it jacks up your file size quite a bit, because instead of using 3 channels with our RGB, we are now in 4 channels CMYK. Okay, so that extra channel does add file size, if you're curious as to why it gets jacked up. Not only that, it's not a JPEG, so there's the compression's not on it, right? I actually went and made it a TIFF, so that's a great thing. Anyway, so we're good to go. I've got my artwork ready. I've got my packaging sample that I've made, remember, here in that bottle wrap that I wanted to bring in. And then I've got my Illustrator samples. You guys, again, if you wanted to use your, say, a business card that maybe you created, or a logo from another class, or maybe, throughout the course of the year that you've had with us, I'm hoping that you have some digital samples that you might be able to use. And if not, again, maybe you want to use this just strictly for your photography studio portfolio, or maybe you want to use this for your your digital branding only, or maybe it's totally up to you. As mentioned, what goes in this portfolio is entirely up to you, as long as you have, right, 8, 9, 10 samples that you can then bring in. So I'm hoping that we all, we're able to get the amount of pieces that we need. Okay, so woo-wee, where are we at here? So take a step back. Let's go in, and what I want to do is let's look at that portfolio that we worked on last week, and I'm just going to go ahead and open this up. Okay, fantastic. Hey, remember this? So we're back at it here, and really, what do we need to do? Well, I'm hoping that we, last week we got our title page completed, right? And we placed it in. I didn't do anything here for my back page. Um, you guys may have wanted to do something on here. Remember, it's totally up to you. In the last video I mentioned, you may want to take take your artist statement, and then maybe you you wanted to maybe do a quote or something on the back, inside back cover. That's totally fine. Now, to call out, you can, I know that you can do a landscape version if you choose to do that. Okay, so if you've done the landscape version, that's all good. I haven't. I did this as a portrait, as I'm sure I called this out in the last videos, but I did kind of want to mention that you can do landscape. Not only can you do landscape, but we will be able to, I think last week I mentioned laminating on, or sorry, coil binding on the long edge, which would be like a calendar. We actually can coil bind on the short edge, which is fantastic. So what I mean by that is if I go in and I change my current view, sorry, that would be, no, let me see if I can't get it here. Document layout, right? If I go into my margins and columns, right, and then I want to adjust layout, right? Actually, it's not in here. It's document settings. Where is it? Adjust layout. There it is. Document presets, right? So document setup. There it is. Now, if I wanted to go landscape, you can change landscape here. And if I do that, notice everything gets whacked out, right? I'm only doing this to show you that this is acceptable. Okay, and the spine, of course, will still be the same place. It's going to be here, though, right? So it's going to be, you know, you, of course, have now designed it for landscape version, and our spine will then be here on the middle, okay? If you want it to be on here, on the top, we can do that. I think I mentioned in the last video, though, we just need to be aware that when we go to submit it for print, we're going to have to rotate every second page. 180, and hopefully that makes sense. If you're like, oh my god, dude, what are you talking about? Don't stress about it. So this is as far as we got last week, as mentioned. So I'm hoping that we got here and we got to a point where we got our artist statement. Now I'm going to get into this, yeah, and you'll notice that one thing that I'm going to actually utilize quite a bit here again is my master pages. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have a left and I have a right, as we know. And what we did last week is if you double click into these, there are a few things that you may want to do for your portfolio pages overall. Okay, so one thing I may do is I'm just going to zoom in here to my master page. I'm going to utilize now this as, actually, you know what? Yes, let's use this as, I'm going to create another master, okay? So the reason I'm going to create another master page is I'm going to create them for my overall, right? I like this for the majority of it. I'm just trying to think here if this is what I want to do. Maybe not, right? Maybe not, maybe not. Maybe I will want to work off of this. And then what we can do is we will, all right, sorry, I'm just talking to myself. Don't mind me. So in my master page, if I know that for my portfolio pages, yes, that I want to have a text box, okay, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to add, say, a text box here, okay. I know that I'm going to have a write-up for my artwork, yeah. I'm also, in my master pages, I may go like this and do fill with placeholder type, okay. So there we go. I've got a box and I've then placed it with type, right? So the reason I may do this is because I may want to utilize this as my type box in each of my portfolio pages, right? Now, this is where you just want to make sure that you are happy with it, because we will, of course, go in and make sure that you'll notice I'm doing this here to the one page, but it's not affecting on any of the others because I got out of my master pages. So if I go in though, and I'm like, you know what, I really do want to have, and this is where our master pages are going to be extremely helpful. You may want to have an overall look and general feel, of course, for each of your pages, right? Which is really important. You may want to have your type that you've done up, right? And in this case, I'm going to go in and grab my box. I'm going to make sure that I align to, right? Not margins, but to page. Great. And I'm going to center. And so that just centered that text box for me, right? Now, what I'm going to do here is, of course, this is where you do your write-up, okay? So now with our write-up, we know that we're going to have an artwork piece, right, in this page. And because mine is set up in a certain way, you guys now need, or everyone needs to decide on how you want your overall layout. I mean, we should have already gave some thought as to how we want this to look, right, in our general layout. I may do something like this, okay? I'm finding this might be a lot of copy for doing a general type about your artwork piece, for example, right? So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I might increase the font size and also change the font size. Remember, I use Gothic, yes, for my font. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go in and I'm just going to find my properties, okay? And I'm going to select on this copy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to Gothic. It happens to be right here for me, which is fantastic. Okay, and I'm going to go make it Gothic. This is actually really nice font. It's readable and everything's good there. Now, if we check out our font size, I'm at 12 points. This isn't too bad. Yeah, we may want to bump it up a little bit. Please don't do this. Don't go in and for your writing copy, don't do something like that. This is just ridiculous. Okay, I do see this from time to time, and I feel like it's almost like like I always relate this to eating your peas at dinner time, and so what you do is spread your peas around the plate to pretend like you've ate them all. This is the like if I have a certain area that I want to fill with copy, you don't just make it really big to fill up the area. This is so not the right way to do it. Okay, what I would recommend is if you want to bump it up slightly, go ahead. Okay, if you want to make it a little bigger, maybe 13 points is okay. But you know what? 12 points is our readable copy, and I think 12 points may be where you want to stay. I don't know if you want to go smaller. It makes it a little more chic, I guess, but it does make it a little bit more difficult to read. So it's really your call on what you want to do with it. Okay. Now you will notice that, of course, in mine, I am going to make sure that on my left page, check this out, I've created a text box. I'm going to make sure that my text box always starts right here in this exact same spot. Okay. So with that being said, on the right side, okay, so I basically have the makings of my portfolio, right? This is going to be copy that I start typing for the write-up on what's going to be here. Now we have this copy, of course, that we put into our master pages. You can, of course, transfer this copy into your master pages as well, and I can show you how to do that in a second. I just want you guys to understand, everyone to understand, that we want to make sure that we get a really happy template. Yes, that we do up something that we know we're going to use and want to duplicate over and over and over again, because that's really important. You'll notice because I have kind of this left and right flowing artwork, I may, and this is kind of interesting how I have it, you all will have a different layout and you're all going to have a different way of looking at it. For me, though, I'm going to actually break the mold here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to duplicate this, box up here. And I'm actually going to, in my case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into my paragraph styles, right here into my paragraph. I'll bring it forward here. Sorry. Oh, come on. Oops, sorry. Let me just full screen. There we go. And I'm going to right justify this. Neat, eh? So now what I've done is I've kind of utilized the same guide here, and I've now bumped it up to the top of the page and over there. Now, you know what? I don't know if I like that. Maybe not. I might, and this is where you're going to make decisions, okay? And decide where you want this stuff to be placed. Now, in my case, I'm just kind of deciding on the fly. I want to have something that's consistent. I'm finding that I really didn't like the look of having the box up there. I'm finding that maybe I will do something like this with text box here, text box there, okay, and then artwork here. Now, you may have a few different pages that you want to have set up. What I mean by that, you may have a page where you have two artwork samples, right? Where you have a piece of artwork here, and I'm just gonna fill this in to kind of show everybody, right? And we'll go there. So I have, right, a portfolio piece 1, right? And then what I can do is maybe portfolio piece 2, right? Something like that. Have them overlapping maybe, I don't know. Yeah, probably overlapping is not advisable. You want each of these pieces to shine, yes. And so again, look at the pieces that you have. Make sure that your layout matches, right? If you have, right, if your sketches are, say, portrait, make sure that you can set them up in a portrait manner. These are a landscape. So I would need to then make sure that I have a landscape version, okay? So I'm just, again, I'm putting these boxes in here as placers for now until I'm happy with what I want to do with them, right? I may do this. I'm going to make a copy and bring this over. So that was with my Command Option, and I just dragged it over, made a duplicate. All right. I'm hitting Command again. I'm going to hit Command and Shift and rotate. Remember, that's just by, right? So this is just your general box tool, right? Right here. Okay. I could have used my frame tool. It doesn't matter if you use box or frame. When you do a Command D, it's going to bring in, right? So now with this, what I'm going to do is maybe I'll do a portrait version, right? So maybe I'll have my portrait versions here. Notice that stuff is snapping here to my guides, which is awesome. So snap, snap. Good. Now remember, that's in your view into your guides, right? Make sure Smart Guides is on and Snap to Guides is on. That's really handy because you'll find things will start snapping, which is really important for us because it's really handy, right? Now I've got that. I may do something like this where I've got maybe a bigger portrait one and then maybe a square one. Yes. So I'm just getting a few different samples as to how my pages can look. So then what I'm going to do here, again, Command Option is my, or Control Option, click and drag, right? And maybe I'll bring this over here. And then I'll go up here and I'll hit my Command one more time. And then I'll just utilize this box. And because I'm working with this gray box here, I'm just going to try to make my pieces kind of flow and match together. Now, again, you may want to do something like that instead, right? I know this gray box is taking up a lot of real estate, okay? If you find that this is a pain in your ass, you know what? Get rid of it. I am finding that, right? So after I was done, or after I'm done all of this, and I'm kind of like, you know what? Why is this gray box here? It's really driving me crazy. I can't seem to utilize it because I want my pieces of art to be the thing that's really called out, right? That's really the most important part of it. So then that's where we go back into our pages, right? And then this is where what I may do is go in and I might just say, you know what? I don't want that there anymore. And I get rid of it altogether, right? And then when I go back in, so I just double click into my master. I got rid of that box. Now I can go in much better, right? So that's great. Let me take a step back. If you find that you have something on here that you really love, okay, this is a neat little trick. I'm going to show you this one is your Command or Control Shift. So if you hit Command or Control, if you're on a PC, Control Shift. Now Command or Control Shift, what you've essentially done, see this? What I've done is I've then taken an element on my master page and I brought it onto an individual object or an individual page, which is awesome. So that being said, for another example here, I'm going to take this. This is on our master page, right? But if I do a Command or Control Shift and then click, I've now overridden my master page. See that? So what happened is right away, notice what happened is it brought the object that was on my master page forward because what's actually here is this is still on my master page. So if I go back here and I move this, you'll notice that just my logo is left there on the master page. I then created this gray piece off the master and brought it forward. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so I'm gonna undo that for a second. The reason I showed you that is because on my art statement, I do like this piece. We can create a secondary master page if we want, right? By creating a duplicate of these guys. And I think we tried doing this last time where we made a duplicate master A. And then what I can do is I can go in, right? And then get rid of this and utilize this master B, or the duplicate master B, and I can then utilize that here instead of the one that's there. So now that I have this removed, I can go here and click. Cool, eh? So 2 ways of go about doing it. I know you're like, oh my gosh, right? But I can now go in and then grab this one, and then see, now the blank is in there instead. So I grabbed it from this copy, this master B, right? And then I can then mess around with it. And then maybe some of these pages I want to keep that gray bar in. I don't know where I may want to keep them. And actually, it looks like I'm short a page as well, which is not cool. And so we're going to want to add in a single right there. And I'm just going to delete that page. There we go. So we have 16 total pages, right? And then I might bring that down as my master. Okay, sorry. That was just kind of me being digression here. So there we go. We've got this. Yeah. And this is where you may want to get a few of these set up. And you can use this in a master page if you wish. Are you ready? Try this with me if you'd like. I'm going to do a command. I'm going to click on this box, shift, click, click. So right now I've got multiple objects here. Yes, I've got my text box and I've got these 3 boxes. Okay. If I go in and I do a copy, right? And if I go here and click into my master page, my B, notice this is the one that I got rid of that gray box and it's now applied to these ones, right? Now, if I do a paste in place, all right, and then I go back in, what you'll find is that where I had that master page, I can then go in and literally use that master page on all of these, right? How cool. Now remember, if you're going to do something like this, this is where what you're going to want to do is use your command shift. And let me just zoom in here for a sec. Command shift, click. Amazing, because now what that allows me to do is change these, right? Because otherwise they stay on the master, and that's not cool for what we need it to be, right? But you can utilize masters in this way. I just kind of wanted to show each of you that. If you're like, dude, there's no way, why are you doing this to me? I apologize. And you may want to just keep it so that these are separate pieces, okay? And now that I have something like this though, right? You may, again, maybe want to do a third version, okay? Now the third version, maybe what we'll do is I'm going to take this, Command C. So I'm just going to copy. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste in place, right click, paste in place. Okay. And I know that I have some sketches that I want to bring in. Yeah. And for that, maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep and maintain utilizing these boundaries. Yeah. You can do the same thing. Sorry, I digress. Let me just back up a sec. If I know I'm going to be copying a bunch of things over, right, I still would recommend that we take this copy and copy this into the master page and then use that shift command, because then it's always going to be exactly in the same spot. Regardless, I can do a copy on 2 of these boxes at once, paste in place. Notice that that copy is then put in there for you. I can do that another time here. Right click, paste in place. I'm going to click on this one, paste in place. If you guys get the idea, paste in place, paste in place, okay? So there you go. I've got all my copy ready to rock, yes? And I did that now so that they're individual boxes, and now I can go in and do my write-up for each of them, okay? So as mentioned, I may have one that I really like having this. Now, this is a real base template to use because all of your objects are gonna be, or all of your artwork pieces might be different dimensions and sizes and so on. You may wanna have one that's just literally, right? I might go here, do a Command C, right click, paste in place, and I may wanna have one. And you may wanna do this for each and every one of your pages, right? Where I just go in and do literally keep them all like so, right? One big page, yeah? Um, but I just want to show you that you can, right? You may want to use one or two as a template, and then you can kind of keep that similar throughout your entire portfolio, which is so important, right? So I've got a full page one, I've got kind of a half page, right? Going vertically, horizontally. Maybe I'll do another one. I'll do a Command C, Command V, or you can do a Command with Option, as you know, or Control with Option. And maybe I'll do more square ones or a few square ones where I have something like this. And this would be great for my, say, like my sketches, right? Where I have more square pieces. And so I might do something like this, right? Maybe I'll have one being more the feature and then another sketch being a little smaller. This is your layout, so do what you wish. Again, doing an overlap like this may be a little bit distracting. Have a look at it. It may work, may not. I don't know. It just depends on the artwork and the pieces. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone's getting a basic layout that we can be happy with. As mentioned, most of the work is going to be getting the write-ups done, right? So I have 4 different looks, all having the same 100%, at least having something of the master page for each of them, which is great. Your artist statements there, and I'm kind of happy with the first 2 pages. I'm happy with the cover. I've utilized just these layouts that I can then start bringing objects in. So what do I have? Right? I know that I have one for logos. I've got one for cover art. So maybe in the cover art, what do I want to bring in first? Let me do Command D, right? So I'm going to select on that box, this one here. Yeah, so select one of your boxes, Command D. And now we can start placing, right, our overall. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to go into Portfolio class, into my benchmarks, 6 and 7, supporting art, and maybe I want to start with my sketches, right? So I had 2 that I did. I did my John Lennon, and I did my Sean Connery, right? Or maybe did I do 3? I think I did 3. Awesome. So we've got, right, John Lennon comes in. Now this is interesting. It's a grayscale image, and what you'll notice is because I had my box filled with a certain color, it actually took on the color of the box. Isn't that wild? So this is my John Lennon picture and this is some very unique circumstances. Number 1, it's a grayscale image. Okay. It wouldn't do this if it was a normal CMYK image. And to prove that, if I do a Command D and I go into, say, my cover art sample, and I do, say, my OpenJam TIFF, there's my OpenJam TIFF. Notice it comes in full crow, and now that color that's in the back there, it's now just, right, it's there, right? So be aware, this is a good rule of thumb, though, something to show you. I didn't want you to freak out if you did gonna go Command D and then bring in that sketch, right? Drawing sketches, right? And bring it in. If something like this happens to you, right? It actually is kind of freaky, isn't it? And so with something like this, you'll notice I have my white arrow because after I place it, it gives me my white arrow to allow me to move my item around within the frame, right? As we know. So with this one, what I'm going to do is, first off, let's make sure that I get into my frame and get rid of my color. Okay. So I can do that in my properties panel here, and I'm going to go into, right, no fill, right? I'm actually going to go into control because I want to see my control at the top. And then I can go here, and then I can go none. Hey, there it is. Okay, that's better. Sorry, so to kind of freak everybody out, yeah? But it's good to know that these things can happen. And especially since I showed you how to save as grayscale. And if you did happen to have a fill on your box, that's going to throw you, right? So it's actually a happy accident, right? That's what I call those. So I'm going to go here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just size this artwork up. Okay. Make sure you're holding shift whenever you're sizing this art, because otherwise it's not going to do. You can squish. Do not squish, please. You have your options available at the top here, as you know, right? You can do a squish, do not squish. You can fit content vertically. There we go. This one looks really good. I'm going to do a fit content there. Okay. And then what I can do is I might just move this here, right? And then I can utilize my sizer. Again, hold down shift always to size. That'll just make sure that that comes in like so. And then what I can do here, maybe I'll bring in another one. Keep in mind, I do not want to have this as a fill. So I'm going to go in and get rid of that fill, right? And actually, there we go. I got rid of it. That's actually the question mark or your dash. If you hit the dash key, that's kind of a neat little trick. You can use that in Illustrator as well. So Command D, and let's bring in, what do we have here? Jack. Woo, how's it going there, Jack? Okay, cool. And then now with this, I got something kind of like this. And now we kind of place things as we see fit. Okay. Again, I might want to try using my buttons like this. You can't hurt anything. Just remember, don't stretch or skew. Okay. Now this one's kind of long and narrow, right? So I can maybe play with that. What's the last one again? I think I can't even remember what it was. Whoops, sorry. Let's bring in that last one, Command D, and that was Sean, John, and Sean Connery. Yes, there we go. Right. So you can of course place without utilizing the boxes just by clicking on the logo. We'll do that, of course, in the other ones. But notice I just went to the file, Command D, and then click and place. Now what I did here was I had placers for, which again could be helpful and handy. It's up to you. You can use the frame tool as well and frame them in like so. Regardless of how you do it, there's multiple ways to go about it, right? Now with something like this, maybe what I'm gonna do is I'll go here. I'll hit Command Shift. Now holding Command and Shift with my black arrow, we know that we can enlarge something on the fly, which is really handy. So I Command Shift, and I'm gonna do this and get this kind of in line with the jack and the right. And maybe I will go a little bigger, make it like that. Okay. And then maybe I will just kind of go here and bring this in, and maybe I'll just even, I don't know, I'm just kind of having fun. Okay. But I'm gonna look to place these sketches as I need to. Right. I might make this one bigger or not. Maybe I'll digress. Maybe I'll get this box lined up with this box first. There we go. Now that these boxes are the same in overall width, I might play along here with this one. And again, white arrow, you need your shift key. There we go. Now we've got something kind of taking shape, right? I've got this one here. I've got John Lennon here. Again, this is where the white arrow is great. Just make sure that you don't do this, right? You kind of want to use those guides as to your favor. And maybe I will go here and bring this with shift held down there. Oh yeah, like you can see his lips a little more, and that's a little better, right? My Sean Connery, maybe I'll just move him over here a little bit, have a look at what's place him in a way that I'm happy with. Something like that. Okay. Right. But you're going to want to do this, of course, with your sketches and your artwork. Hopefully get it to a place that you're happy with. If you did, of course, want to show the whole piece, in my case, I'm doing this more just because I have limited space given, right? And then this is where you tell your story. You may want to even do something like this and call this out as sketch 1, right? And then I would say John Lennon, right? And then say the inspiration for this came from the inspiration, and this is where it gets tough, because now you got to reach into the recesses of your mind and think about why you did it, and the purpose for it. So sketch one, John Lennon, and then I might say, uh, he's such a true pioneer. He's such a innovator. Right, inspiration. And the reason, right? Chose this piece, right? You also, a great thing to do, come up with a little saying, of course. You may, a great thing to do is call out not only the title of the sketch, but maybe you want to say, graphite, right? Graphite pencil. Did I spell that right? On paper, right? John Lennon maybe is your title, and you might want to bold, right? The name, and then give a little write up, okay? Inspirational write up. And then what I can do here is you can go in and grab this, Command C. And now because I have 3 of them, this is where your space may run into a bit of, right? Sketch 2, right? And then what you can do here, same graphite on pencil, and then, Jack, I don't know, Nicholson, not Nicholas, that's a golfer. Come on, man. Nicholson. Check for spelling, right? Google search for sure. And then on here, right, inspired, my love, right, for, and one of the scariest movies. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. Really, what I want you to talk about is more your emotional attachment to these pieces, why you did it, what was your inspiration, meaning behind it. And I'm trying to do it right now, everyone. It's challenging, right? This isn't easy, but I want you to take the time, yes, and I want you to come up with something that works for these pieces, and then and in this case, I kind of ran out of space, so I might do something like that and go, okay, I got 2 now, yeah. And then from there, I may go, I kind of like this stack look, and maybe I'm going to bring, sorry, this is where I use my black, right? My black arrow, and move these boxes as a piece like so, right? And there we go. And it's very simple. Maybe I'll take a step back. No, I would find a way to make sure that this works. Yeah. And maybe it's a matter of, and this is where the typesetting is a huge portion of InDesign, as we know. And in this case, maybe I would bring the name of the piece up and check it out. Now I've got room, right? So this is trial and error, right? We've got to make sure that we've left enough room for all of the write-ups. So again, if you've only got 1 per page, then don't worry about it. But if you do plan on doing this, it's great that we plan for it. It's all about planning ahead in these cases, right? And then sketch 2, I would then do this, return, sketch 3, right? And then we call that out as graphite on paper. And this, of course, is Sean Connery. Again, make sure you spell correctly. And inspired, the one and only Bond. And then tell a story about it, right? So sound good? So there's my 3 pieces. I don't know when you get into this again, if you're using multiple, you may want to identify them, because I did call them out as sketch 1, sketch 2, sketch 3. I'm hoping it's identifiable. You may want to put a number 1, 2, 3. I don't know if that's maybe overdoing it. I would imagine that your write-up should call out. You can, of course, put your write-ups underneath each piece. Like, don't feel like you have to copy my layout. This is totally for you. You may want to have you may want to do your copy under each piece, right? So you may have something that looks like this. Awesome, right? You again, this is totally this is your portfolio. I'm just trying to give you a quick way that we can go about setting it up, right? And so I go here and I'll do a duplication as I go across. Sorry, that's not working. I need my, there we go. And that's, so now I have, oh my goodness, why is that? Oh, it's because I've got, there we go, right? So there we go, right? And so there's another example of how I might go about doing the 3 write-ups, right? Maybe I'll do it so that I have my write-up right underneath my artwork, and totally acceptable, and kind of right here I'm kind of like, I kind of like it the way it's coming together here. Now the challenge, of course, with this is the way that I've done my layout. I've got to constantly massage it, right? We're constantly massaging. We're looking at the layout. We want to make sure that we have a nice layout that'll work for the majority of our stuff. And maybe this is, I'm showing you more an advanced multi-page or multi-picture layout, which is good because, it's good to show you a more complex one. I mean, the simplest way to go about it would be something like this, right? I'm going to get rid of this. And let's say that I go ahead and I bring in as Command D with this box. Now that I've got my sketches, I can go in, do my cover art, and here's my OpenJam. Awesome. Oh yeah, interesting, because I grabbed it from that original box that I created. Check that out. Isn't that neat? It actually wanted to rotate it for me because this, remember I worked from that original green box here and I brought it over and rotated it. It remembered that rotation. Kind of neat, kind of a call out. If you're wondering if that ever happens to you, I'm going to do it this way, Command D. I'm not going to use the placer because I can just go here and just place it in like so. Cool, eh? So when you do it like this for placement, remember Command D, you don't even need a box there, but it's good to have one so you have an idea of where you want to place it. I can go here, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to click. Because we have snap to guides on, it should snap to that corner. This is way too big, right? I'm going to make sure that it's smaller. I have my black arrow on. Again, you may just want to do it this way for the majority of your pages, right? I like that. Nice and simple. So what I've done there is I have my art to the left. I've got my type to the right. And I'm going to keep it like that for the majority. Actually, I may keep it like that for all of my pages. You may be, you may be like, Mitch, I don't have enough artwork to do it like this, where I'm going to have 9 pages with 3 or 2 or whatever it is. I would recommend, though, if you're going to do the multi per page, make sure that they belong together. You'll notice, I have my sketches together. That makes sense. I would say don't give me a logo, a cover art, and then a painting. Like, why, you know what I mean? Like, try to keep them so that they're related, right? Something that would be fantastic is maybe the logo you created for your overall portfolio. You may want to show the sketch that you started with. You may want to show the steps that we went through to get to this logo. That would be a page in itself. Wouldn't that be cool? And then you can talk about your process, your creative thinking that went into creating this logo. That could be a page in itself. So if you're thinking that you're running out of room or you don't have enough work, this logo for the portfolio could be, in essence, a page, if that makes sense. Okay, so there we go. I've got that. What I can then do is I'm going to go here. I may grab this. I'm going to do a Command C copy, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to do paste in place. All right, now paste in place. The problem with the paste in place here is it wants to relay it back to the to this layout or spread. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually go here and I'm going to take that, and then what I'm going to do is hit Option, click and drag over. Snap, snap, it'll hit my guides. And you may find you want to do something like this. Now I'm going to, let's go ahead and save this, right? That's a good idea. So we've got a whole different ways of going about setting this up. You may want to do a multi-page, I've gone now, and maybe you want to do something as simple as this, where, I have the one, and then I have my write-up. And then I can now go in Command D, And then I'm going to find my other ones. What else did I have in here? Oh, my Illustrator samples, right? And here's my packaging sample. There we go. So I got my beer, right? My purple People Eaters label. Okay. So there's one of them there. Good. That's in. It came in really nice for me. Right. If you ever want to change the overall look or size, you can go in, make sure you hold shift, right? And then we can do something like that if you want. Okay. And something like that may work. I kind of liked it taking up the whole piece, right? So I'm going to go command, I'm just doing command Z to get back. And then I can come here, command D. That was my packaging sample. And then maybe I go into my logo illustration. I've got a Joker Freaks logo that's here. Okay. And there we go, right? So I can then place that. Remember, I can go in and utilize these ones to kind of, right, fit to. Now, something like this, keep in mind, everyone, if you want to go in and you find that you've brought something in, but you need to tweak it, this is where it's great that you've brought in your AI file. Because what I can now do, I have these strings, you'll notice, that are here. My strings are messed up. Notice that I had it on a colored background, right? So it got a little wacky on me. And so what I want to do in this case is I'm going to edit. So notice what I did here, everyone, is I went and I clicked on that logo here, AI, hit the pencil tool. That'll then launch my Illustrator because it was an AI file. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a quick background in my Illustrator file. And so I'm going to go here, right? I'm going to bring make it black, right? I'm going to do a Command Shift bracket. Hey, that's better. And so now I've got something like that, right? Now I may do a different color. There we go, right? And give that a go. So I'm kind of, I'm playing around. This dark red's not too bad. Probably shouldn't be utilizing this soft glow. That's a no-no. I'd probably get rid of it. There's no point for it. Anyway, I'm going to do a Command S, right? Or Control S. Cool. Notice how it automatically updates. See that? Now, with that being said, it's updated. We just need to go in and make sure that, notice that the placement got a little wacky on us. Not a problem. And what we can do now is I can go in, we'll grab it, and then I can place that here, right? Awesome. And I'm utilizing my fit to frame to height. And that's going to make sure that it fits it exactly in that centered, looks beautiful. If I need to make some adjustments, again, white arrow, click. I can even use my arrow keys for this. Notice I use my white arrow and clicked in it. Now I can use my white arrow and just bump it up and down as I see fit. Okay. Now I probably wouldn't bump it up and down. The reason I wouldn't do up and down is it's going to then show some of the white that's down here and not make it the exact same as this one, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to go there. Left and right though is beauty, just to center it. And that looks good. Okay. And then you do your write-up. Yeah. A few more here. It's really the same process, of course. I'm going to go in here and now, sorry, let me just zoom out for a sec. I'm going to grab this one with my black arrow. I'm going to grab, this box, shift this box. I'm going to do a Command C, double click into this spread, right click, paste in place. Awesome. Now what that did was paste, and then I can go in and grab, right, the next grouping of ones that I have. And here's the original here. I've got this little dude here. An otter logo that I did up for, okay. And then I'm going to go here, Command D and baby otter. So for the juniors, okay. So I'm going to select on the box. You can do it this way, black arrow, select on the box, click. Now you'll notice this isn't working because I'm constraining it to the top and bottom. In this case, go this way. Beautiful. Notice going to the left and right, it then took it from the left and right of the logo. Do the same thing here, left and right. Nice. Okay. Now you'll find that kind of centered it really well for me. Okay. I've got each of these kind of laid up. And I may play around with it. I'm finding that this, because the circle, I made some adjustments to it. Right. I maybe want to make this a little bit bigger, or put them on the same page and then tell the story. right? This is one that I did for the little guys or the big guys, and this is the one that I did for the little guys, right? So here we go. If you want to, again, size something up, black arrow, Command, Shift, right? So black arrow, Command, Shift, and size. Good? So same thing, black arrow, move this over, Command, Shift, and size. And then I'll move that in place. Okay. So then again, I've got now this telling a story, right? I've got two. If you have sketches of any of the works that you've done, that's a beautiful thing that you can add in, right? So that we can go in and show the sketches and the creative process. And then I can go in and I can go view and I can just have a look at it in presentation mode, right? And then presentation mode allows us to kind of just, preview. There we go, right? And then with a preview on, you can have a look at it. And this looks okay, right? I can then zoom out, have a look at it in preview mode, right? I've got my write-ups, my art statement. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command S and save it, knowing that I've got, a few of my pages ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Out of the 8 or 9 that I'm going to require from you. Again, if you find that you don't have 8 pieces and you're stuck with this one, maybe I would suggest that you create something for this last page. Maybe again a quote or a little thank you note would be great for the last page here, and then your last page can just be blank. It's totally up to you. Or maybe you even want to go in and make that last page like a solid color is totally an option as well. And in this case, what I could do is go in, notice what I did there was I did my Command Shift, brought this gray box forward, Command Shift, and I can actually delete, I can delete that logo out of there. And then I can then just make my, make this back, something like that, right? Or maybe, I digress. Maybe I will go here and, change it up a little bit. Maybe go like that. Okay. And then I'll send to back, arrange. So I right clicked, arrange, send to back. And then I can go here and maybe I'll just take that logo and put it right in the center for my final page. Something really simple as a nice call out. We've done our logo quite a bit throughout the process. So it's clear, maybe I'm over logoing it, but hey, it's all good. So I'm going to end it there, everyone. What I'm going to do next in the next series is I'm just going to come back and see that we can't create our final printed for submission, and then what I need from you for your digital portion. Okay, so I know a long one, I apologize, but I hope that helped get us to a point where we're comfortable and we're hopefully can start working on our pages. Stay with me, everybody.